Okay, okay, okay. Okay, okay, okay. Okay, 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 okay. Okay.
Listen, baby.
Oh, please. Oh, please don't hold my arm.
Obviously, I'm not going to show it, but that was a Korean woman who almost had a very traumatizing experience. And it was thanks to, I believe, this guy that she didn't have that experience.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you so much.
This whole event happened in China, by the way, so it was all very multicultural, and I think it helps bring a prevalent problem to people's attention, a problem that a lot of people have started to notice. This next thing comes from Japan. It shows a picture of some passports and it says, banned countries on the top in Japanese. A tweet commenting on it says, some Japanese nightclubs reportedly banned passports from Turkey, Syria, Bangladesh, India, Afghanistan, and Pakistan in response to their bad behavior towards female customers. This particular picture seems to stem from a Turkish Instagram account, and while I can't tell you what he's saying in his video, many Japanese people have commented on the issue. Here's a post from someone who works security in Japanese clubs. I will note that this post is translated, so I'll show the original really quickly for people who care. Now, my Japanese isn't perfect, but I have to say that the translation is close enough. In short, the first two paragraphs basically confirm the nightclub issue, and under this post, there are tons of Japanese people talking about behavior from foreigners, and I think everyone's at a level of fatigue where they're all thinking, if this is how certain groups of people are going to behave, then Japanese clubs are justified in doing this until their behavior changes. And people aren't afraid anymore to call this stuff out.
Woke is dead, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Hell yeah!
Now, I have my reservations about Elon's character and personal behavior. However, he did basically steal every bit of power that these rejects had by buying Twitter and allowing people to speak freely.
Marvel now has regained the rights to X-Men. I think it would be a really cool idea to have a trans woman be Mystique.
Oh my god, shut up. Nobody cares. We're not doing this anymore. If you want to create a story that no one reads, then go write fanfiction. So the result of this newfound free speech, thanks to Elon, is that we're now not censored for pointing things out like criminal behavior, and I guess we'll call it cultural replacement through pathological immigration policies. And before anyone calls any of this racist, for one, I don't care. No one cares anymore. Two, a great man once said that he dreamed of a time where people would be judged by the content of their character, and criticizing people's behaviors and cultural trends is not racism. You're being judged by your actions. Expecting special treatment or special protections from criticism because you're a certain race is racist, because racism requires a superiority complex, and saying that it's illegal for people to criticize you or that you're above the law because of your race is the suggestion that you're superior. And before we get into it, just to make this all perfectly clear right at the start of the video, because I know there are people who will actively try to misinterpret what I'm saying. So personally, on an individual level, I don't think I'm superior to any one individual of any race. I've met great Middle Eastern people. I'm a big fan of Middle Eastern food. Obviously, I have respect for Asians. I've been studying Japanese for years. Mexicans are great, and I've met plenty of smart Indians and studied some of their philosophy when I was younger. For example, I think the Indian concept of karma is great, in the Western sense, and its original meaning described in the Bhagavad Gita. We'll be talking about karma a bit in this video. That being said, certain places have different cultural values, and if outsiders don't want to adhere to those values, then they can leave. Which brings us to this video here.
Over time, I noticed there was a lot more newcomers, especially more Punjabi kind of guys, which was fine. Like, I honestly had no problem with it. These men specifically were always groping and touching women and like coming in these circles and just dancing in a way that made a lot of people feel really uncomfortable. But the other thing that I've noticed is we're just seeing a lot more of this like predatory behavior from these newcomer groups of people, and I think it's just so terrible how they can hide behind something like racism, and women who have been like actually groped in a bar are not allowed to come out and say this or say that we feel uncomfortable. And I don't even feel safe going to bars anymore.
You absolutely are allowed to talk about this. Stop letting these people hide behind calling you racist. You aren't the only one noticing. It's not racist to say, hey, a bunch of Indians recently moved here and they're throwing trash everywhere. I mean, if they want to live in human waste, then they can go back to India. Here's the cleanest river I was able to find. But now is not the time to be afraid to speak up. And by the way, all of the Indians who don't disrespect the countries they immigrate to hate this behavior because it makes them look bad. So they will full-on support you when you call it out. Now, before I show this next video, it's a little confusing at the start. So to be clear, this Indian woman is criticizing people who litter.
I will throw garbage on the road. I pay my taxes. The government has hired sanitation workers. They should do their job. If the road is dirty, it's not my fault. I will dirty it anytime. Now this is the kind of the mentality that Indians feel entitled towards. We should do our bit and understand what is the right or clean habit.
Well, actually, let me add a bit more nuance, because in the full video, she says that she had dirty habits but fixed them after criticism, and as a result, she was explaining the entitled mentality that a lot of Indians have on this issue. Another bullying success story. I swear a bunch of Twitter racists are going to end up saving India from infectious disease, as many Indians in the comments say they're working on sanitation anytime someone shows a trash pile on social media. So it's not bad to call this stuff out, because it makes things better for everyone, and good people appreciate it when boundaries are set. As for the bad ones, I don't care about them. Throw them in prison if they break the law, or deport them if they refuse to assimilate. And the consequences of not staying silent on this is that you get to live in a nice place.
Okay, everybody, I'm here in Seoul, South Korea. As you can see, they have these like inflatable cushy chairs. Everyone is reading. This would last about 35 seconds in most American cities. You can have nice stuff. Crime is a choice. We shouldn't put up with it. South Korea doesn't. We shouldn't either.
Right, Charlie. We shouldn't have to put up with crime, and South Korea is not the only place like that. Recently, I was in Japan, and I have to say that the cities are extremely safe and clean there. That being said, before I play this next clip, I just want to give a little trigger warning, because you could never do this in America. This is how safe Japan is.
When people leave their bags or wallets or personal items on tables in Japan, more often than not, you might be thinking, oh, I've probably forgotten it. I should do something. I should grab it and run off with it and show the shop staff. Don't do that, because 9 times out of 10, it's somebody who has reserved that table using their own possessions.
Let me repeat that. It is so safe in Japan that you can leave your wallet or your phone on a table out in the open, go to the bathroom, and no one will try to steal it. And again, as someone who has been there, I have to say that it is uncanny to be able to walk into a public park in the middle of a city at 2 in the morning and no one tries to stab you. The dark alleyways at 2 a.m. are safe too. In fact, it is so safe in Japan that it is very common for Japanese people to pass out drunk on the street, get a full 8 hours, and wake up perfectly unharmed. But that doesn't mean that there aren't bad actors trying to disrupt that peaceful environment. Japan is currently going through a pretty big birthing crisis, and instead of, maybe writing some workers' rights legislation to make it illegal for asshole bosses to abuse their employees with 5 hours of unpaid overtime every day, like how is that legal? So instead of learning the principle of diminishing returns, the Japanese government has decided to fix the birthing crisis with immigration, which sounds sinister. That brings us to this tweet here. You wish this was Pakistan, but it's Hokkaido, Japan. Then it shows a bunch of Middle Easterners mixed in with Japanese people. And actually, in my opinion, one of the most frustrating parts of my recent vacation is that you could be in Japan and have to do like a dice roll to see if you would actually bump into a Japanese person, which is quite annoying when you've studied the language for a bunch of years and you're trying to figure out if you're on the right train platform, and oh shit, none of these people speak Japanese. On top of that, our resident Twitter Korean, Kangmin Lee, points out that this is not just a problem in Japan. He says, every third person I see in Seoul is a foreigner, and I'll leave that second half for later in the video. But in response to that, I have to say that you shouldn't feel like a foreigner in your own country. I mean, I think the biggest culture shock when I moved to Texas is that I was expecting to see Texans, but ended up getting a bunch of Indian and halal restaurants instead. Then I go to Japan last month and see a bunch of Indian and halal restaurants and signs that say porkless ramen. Now, while I do like Middle Eastern food, I don't eat Indian food for obvious reasons.
Tony, you ate mussels?
Prince Edward Island. Top of the line.
After an entire Indian dinner?
You ate at an Indian restaurant? There you go.
So while I do like Middle Eastern food, I don't think you should be importing so many foreigners that it completely changes the demographics of the native population, legal or illegal.
Given the massive numbers arriving in Western nations daily, well, indeed, for many in the West, the sheer size of those arriving is a level where locals are beginning to feel like outsiders in their own communities, as approximately 22% of Indians expressed a desire to migrate to the United States alone, which is almost the current population of the country in 2025.
Yeah, no, stay in India. I'm all for cultural enrichment, but you can't just let an infinite amount of people into a country. In fact, as for the US, I think we might actually be in a place where we should allow 0 people to immigrate, because you need to give time for the newcomers to learn the language and to assimilate to American values.
California is a cluttered state with social services that are being strained, and we need a pause on all immigration, in my opinion, to metaphorically digest the major meal that we just ate, or else we are going to have a major assimilation problem, cultural problem, cohesion problem, all sorts of issues. And I know this is a provocative thing to say, but immigration is something that you use as a way to benefit the homeland. You don't have to have immigration.
Right. I don't care if your country of origin sucks, especially if you are not in the U.S. legally. I'm not as empathetic towards outsiders like the average libtard is, because America can't afford to be, and I don't want people here if they aren't immigrating to make my homeland better. Also, if you want to talk about morality, then instead of fleeing the country that you were born in, how about you fight to improve it?
And so legal immigration should always be viewed through the prism. Does it benefit the country and the citizens that are already here?
Right. Again, if the answer is no, then you don't get to come here. Like, if I'm going to move to Japan, I don't move there to steal resources from taxpayers and take their jobs for significantly lower wages. If I'm moving, then I'm moving to 1, learn new cultural values to assimilate to, and 2, benefit Japan as a whole. So if you're immigrating legally or illegally to be a burden on the system or the people, then get out. Like, there shouldn't be a case where there are so many people immigrating that they can just live in their own isolated communities and never learn the country's language. And it's not just foreigners doing that in the U.S. There are plenty of white Americans who move to Japan, stay in their isolated communities for years, and never learn any Japanese. Kick those people out. If you've been living in Japan for 5 or 10 years, then you should be able to speak Japanese fluently at a high level. I don't care if it's hard. If it's too difficult, then don't move there. And by the way, I think a lot of Japanese people would agree with that, as while I was in Osaka, there was an anti-immigration protest going on. Moving on, let's go back to the second half of that tweet that I didn't read. Every third person I see in Seoul is a foreigner, and there are way too many people in hijabs here. How dare he say that? That's Islamophobic. Again, I don't give a shit anymore, especially considering that Muslims hate everything while having the audacity to call you a bigot. Now, that's not to say that I have an issue with all Muslims, but when it comes to letting infinite people into the West, and I guess the East now too, there must be consideration for the fact that Islam has a shitload of radicals in it who want to take over first world countries and institute an incredibly oppressive system called Sharia law.
Every ideal nightmare of a Muslim Europe will come true. They can be as mad as they want. I don't care. America will be a Muslim country. Russia will be a Muslim country. Islam will enter every house. We have to be a part of that change and never, ever apologize. We're unapologetic. Never, ever compromise. We're uncompromising.
Right, and I'm going to be unapologetic and uncompromising when I say that you can get the hell out of my country. How dare these people respond to criticism by screaming Islamophobia like crying children when they openly say shit like this?
The Messenger Muhammad ﷺ said that, if the Muslims have authority and they have the ability to remove oppression, they must remove the oppression. So we believe man-made law is oppression, because they are implementing non-Islamic law, violating their own sanctity. So, if we are in a position of power and authority, we are obliged to take that authority, with the minimum force and to implement the Sharia, certainly. So, this will be the case one day in Britain. And I hope that can come in a very peaceful way. I hope that we can do that in a way, where there's no bloodshed.
That interview was from 2012, so this is nothing new from Islam. They've been saying this stuff publicly for a long time. But let me translate this for you to remove all the polite bullshit. He is kindly saying that if you don't accept Islam, they will kill you. But they'll peacefully kill you because Islam is a religion of peace. Sarcasm aside, pushing back against people who want you dead for believing different things is not bigotry. They are the assholes. So there's tons of videos of radical Islamists talking about taking down the West, and to that I'll say, if you want to live under Islam, then go to the Middle East, go to Africa. No one's stopping you. These people are not trying to assimilate to our values. They're trying to take over so they can forcefully impose their values, and they're already doing that. It's already bad in Europe where they're just taking over entire cities and replacing the local government with Sharia law. And in America, they're slowly trying to do the same.
I understand that our Somali communities are all connected to each other here in Minnesota and back home, and I ask for your support. There's always been a link between our community here as well as back home, and I'm running to bridge that gap and unite all of us And I'm hoping to do that just like Abdrazak, inshallah.
What do you mean back home? If you consider Somalia to be your home, then go there. Get out of America. I mean, I was born in California, but when I say home, I don't mean California anymore. I mean Texas. I moved here for a reason, and I moved here to become a Texan and absorb their values because Texan values have led to a better state, in my opinion. Well, except for Jasmine Crockett. Texas screwed up on that one. But as for America, I don't want people here who consider themselves to be something else before they consider themselves to be Americans. Also, nothing has run positive PR for Islam like the Free Palestine movement has. And I will say that war is horrible, but the minute that you guys start promoting terrorism in the US, which they do constantly, is the minute they lose sympathy from me. And personally, I think we should deport every person in this country who is not a US citizen if they support terrorism in the US. Get these people out of the country. They do not belong in civilized society. And if they want to go live in a war zone, then the world outside of America has a lot of great options. But I mean, these Free Palestine people are everywhere. They were in Japan when I was there, which was weird, because what the hell does Israel or Palestine have to do with Japan? And I mean, you can't even buy a phone without one of these asshole activists saying that you're pro-genocide.
All right, just like last year and previous years before that, it's iPhone Day.
That specific protest was for Africa, but these people all have the exact same beliefs, so I guarantee you that chick has a watermelon in her profile. 24 years ago, a group of Muslims killed 2,753 people on 9/11. Now a Muslim socialist is on pace to run New York City. This is in reference to Zohran Mamdani, and this tweet is showing its age a bit because I believe Mamdani is actually going to win at this point. And we have Harry Sisson, who always just has the best takes on Twitter, saying, Charlie Kirk is a sick, racist piece of trash. Just put the Klan hood on already, Charlie. Wow, that escalated quickly. Also, may I remind everyone that it was the Democrats that founded the KKK, and it was the Republicans who died to end slavery in America. I wasn't sure if Harry knew that history. Outside of that, shut up, no one cares. Go back to pretending that you like women. And by the way, just in case you were blackpilled on all this and don't understand the power of giving these people the middle finger, allow me to point you to Dearborn, Michigan, which has a high Muslim population, and they seem to be doing things like slowly taking over the government and the police force. Some of the native population isn't too happy about that. This guy wrote some pretty angry posts on Facebook, which I think are bad. However, much to probably the dismay of people on the right who want to criticize the left for their violent words, this is currently considered protected speech, unless it's a direct, credible threat or an incitement that leads to an act of violence soon after it was said. Even though that's the case, he was still arrested. So I have to say that if that guy got arrested for what he said on Facebook, is Dearborn going to arrest this guy too?
And in the form that it must come is that this empire, the American empire that's been hurting our people since the beginning, the imperial Western powers that have been hurting our people since the beginning, they must fall. And inshallah they will fall. And my message to the people of Gaza and the oppressed peoples across the world is that there are people here, both young and old, who are going to be willing to fight and are willing to put their lives and everything they can on the line to bring these empires down, because they must come down.
I mean, he was more well-spoken, but make no mistake, this guy was also promoting violence, just like that guy on Facebook. Are you going to arrest him too? Or are you racist assholes going to enforce the laws unequally when it comes to punishing your own? Anyway, Dearborn decided to start boiling the frog a bit by releasing an optional police badge with Arabic writing on it to show unity and diversity with the Arabic population, or some other bullshit lie they're using to slowly spread prejudice against anyone who isn't a part of Islam. However, it got so much backlash that they memory holed it a day later. And I'll say that if you guys want Arabic writing on your police badges, then go back to the Middle East. This place is for Americans, and clearly you don't consider yourself to be American. Do you see the power of not giving a shit if they call you racist? Also, by the way, these statements aren't racist, as I would be more than happy to accommodate Middle Easterners who want to be Americans. However, radical leftists are still going to call you a bigot anyway, so why even care at this point? Why are we letting them get away with these stupid policies?
Can someone smarter than me help me very genuinely understand why I'm supposed to care if people immigrate to the US illegally? Like, obviously some people are just racist and some people are just stupid. I don't understand why this should bother me in any way if as many people as want to come here. So if somebody could help me understand that, that would be great, because right now I just don't know why I should give a shit.
Nose ring, of course. However, why don't we educate her? This story is not from America, but it's from Europe, where in Germany, an illegal Iraqi migrant killed a 16-year-old Ukrainian girl by pushing her in front of a train. Remember when the left made Ukraine their entire personality? Anyway, it turns out that he had a deportation order, but it wasn't carried out. And don't worry, Germany. Illegals who are supposed to be deported kill Americans too, so we can sympathize. So to answer Ms. Nosering's question, that's why.
I think we should abolish jail and we should allow all the violent immigrants.
We should allow them to what?
Stay here.
Do you think that we could abolish jails, get all the violent immigrants? Could we put them here at USF on campus?
Yes, and I'll hang out with them.
You'll hang out with them? Would you take in a violent MS-13 gang member? Would you room with one?
People give people labels all the time, and gangs are there for a reason. Gangs are there for community.
I hate these people so much, bro. And the reason why, they advocate for things that will kill other people. That's the reason why I hate them. And they do it because it makes them feel good. These people are sitting in some safe college campus. Nothing bad's ever going to happen.
Right, they sit in their nice neighborhoods saying this dogma so they can get social points among their idiot college friends. Meanwhile, their dumb ideas prey on lower income communities who are actually affected by them. Also, continuing the conversation on illegals and migrants, watch any video about France, and you'll see it's full of migrants who are scammers, and the police just refuse to arrest or deport them.
How much for a big one? Big one, 15 euros. How much did you pay?
Small ones.
For how much?
1 euro for this one.
Well, that's a pretty good deal. Could we do 3 euro?
Look, my friend, camera. Gift card, camera.
If you have a camera of any sorts and they press you, they say you can't film, they say you can't do anything because it's their country now. I'm visiting, I can't take a fucking photo of the Eiffel Tower. The police, nowhere in sight. Please, God, deport them all. Holy shit.
Scammers are so prevalent in Paris that it's a whole content meta that gets crazy views. People are furious about this problem, but Europe does nothing to stop them. However, do you know who European governments will arrest? Teenage girls who try to stop migrants from assaulting their sisters.
You don't dare!
Yes, you have a knife!
You don't dare fucking help me!
Show the knife! Show the knife!
Get away from us!
Show the knife! Show the knife!
Don't touch her!
That's it! That's it! Show the knife!
Don't touch my little sister!
Show the knife! That's it!
Don't fucking touch my little sister! She has fucking 12! Where's her fucking touching me? She has fucking 12 and you just battered me, mate!
The full facts of this story are a little murky because it's a recent event, but we do have an article from the Courier that says, Bulgarian dad branded as a monster over a knife incident. Then they have this beautiful family picture. What a wonderful, innocent couple. Look at this happy photo here with the baby. Isn't that sweet? Oh shit, it looks like you forgot to cover up the neck tattoo in that one. Why didn't you guys show this photo in your article? Weird. Anyway, the girl with a knife and the hatchet named Lola was arrested, and the suggestion from the old media outlets is that she was the aggressor. But considering that the girls are saying, get away from us, as the guy is moving towards a person with weapons, asking her to show them, which I imagine he did in an attempt to exonerate himself by getting her arrested. Personally, I think he was the aggressor. You don't run unarmed towards a person with weapons if you're being victimized. Here's a retelling of the story from the mother of one of the girls where she adds more details. So I think the girls were telling the truth, and now supposedly this happy family man has been arrested and charged for assaulting one of them to the point of hospitalization. Why do we know all this? Because of Twitter. If it wasn't for Twitter, there probably would have been a very different outcome here. But don't worry, because, the British police are busy arresting people for making jokes.
We want bacon!
How can you arrest him for saying he likes bacon?
And what's that? You're not allowed to say you like bacon, but he's around here, lad.
Can you explain that to me, please?
Yeah, so it's anything that might be perceived to be racially abusive.
This is unreal. That's a skit, right? Isn't this ridiculous? It's so ridiculous that I have multiple videos of people being arrested for offensive words.
Well, if you can back to me, you're under arrest for Section 4A public order offence.
My colleague's going to tell you the circumstances for why you're being arrested.
Am I being arrested
or being detained?
Been arrested, I've just said the caution.
Arrested? Well, what I've done? Tell me what I've done.
There's been a member of the public who you've apparently been shouting at calling him a muppet.
Right, a muppet, yeah, and?
You caused him alarm and distress.
She's very upset about it.
This is unbelievable. They're arresting this guy because he hurt someone's feelings. That's 2 of them. What the hell is going on in England? Stuff like that makes this video incredibly ironic.
Would you move to America in 2025?
No. Never. No.
No interest in moving there. It's a complete hole.
No, because I am transgender.
You'd step over there and you already lose 10 of the rights that you have here.
They just think they're the best. They're like, oh my god, we have freedom, but most other countries have freedom.
You don't have free speech at all there.
I wouldn't last a minute over there, I don't think. It's definitely stricter over there than it is over here. Yeah.
Right, I'll let the country that arrests people for saying they like bacon in front of a mosque construction site teach me what it means to be free. Anyway, let's talk about black people.
Black people are 13% of the population and they commit 50% of the murders. You can look it up.
Over, please.
Wait, You.
What's your source?
The FBI, the Department of Justice. You look it up. Anyone can look it up on your phone. It is a fact that blacks have a disproportionate amount of the violent crime in their community.
Y'all don't f***ing understand statistics. How you speak on numbers? Off.
Here are the 2019 statistics on that. Slightly old, but I have no reason to think they've changed that much. But you can see that black people commit homicide at 4 times their population size, and basically in every other category outside of drunk driving, they commit crimes at 2 to 3 times their population size.
Come up to the mic and call me a racist to my face, or are you an intellectual coward and want to shout it from 30 feet away? Come on up. Come on. Call me a racist.
You are a f***ing racist.
Fuck you. I don't care what you call me, because it's not racist, it's called compassion. And we're pointing the stats out so that these communities don't have to deal with these problems anymore, because the reality is that if you're a black person and you get murdered, like 90% of the time it was done by another black person. So when you try to silence someone by calling them racist, the only thing I can assume is that you hate black people and want them to stay in crime-infested, fatherless ghettos. Compassion is saying that they don't deserve to live like that, so let's fix the problem.
There was laws put in place to put them into prison, and after...
It's okay. No. What's your name? Guys, what's your name?
Jackson.
Jackson. It takes a lot of courage to come up here.
Yeah, no,
Let's just take a deep breath. Okay? I'm not here to pick on you.
No,
and
I
I appreciate it.
Together.
Here's my perspective, and I want to hear what you have to say. Is that the number one way to keep people out of poverty, lower the crime rate, and have a better society is whether or not you have a mom and a dad around. Would we agree that's an ideal? Yeah? Cool. Yeah. So what happened in 1964 is that 25% of black youth were raised by a single mom. Today, it's nearly 75%, about 70%. So that means that 1 in 4 black kids will have a father around. Only 1 in 4. That's the number one issue happening in the country, and it's not because of systemic racism. I'd like to hear what you have to say about that.
Okay, so I think I misjudged you at first. I think we are on the same page that we know what the problem is. How do we get there?
Well, the first of which is you must raise the standard of expectation, both internally and externally in the black community, that we're not going to put up with men, because we're both men, fleeing the women that they impregnate. Yeah. That we will say to men that flee the women that they impregnate, you're a loser, we're not going to tolerate you, we're not going to be friends with you, we need to demand better. Thank you for coming up to the mic. I know it's not easy, and God bless you. Thank you so much.
Have a good day, sir.
You going to call that one racist too? How about we start shaming these deadbeats who don't know how to use a condom and keep abandoning their kids? And shame the mothers who let losers impregnate them. The people trying to silence everyone pointing this stuff out are not your friends, and that BLM terrorist organization doesn't like black people either. They're stealing charity money to enrich themselves with multi-million-dollar content creator mansions to kick off their creator careers. Meanwhile, like 90% of the people who have over 1 million subs started out in their mother's basement. And don't forget they said they wanted to destroy black families on their website, but promptly removed it when they got called out for it. Which brings us to BLM's biggest enemy: security cameras, cell phones, and police body cam footage.
Body cams have ended the Black Lives Matter movement. They have, because it turns out the vast majority of the time where, police do kill somebody, it's actually justified. It is a minority of times, a huge minority, when it's not justified.
Really? I can't show it because it's not YouTube safe, but if you've ever been on Twitter for more than 5 minutes, then you would know that a certain population would have much better interactions with the police if they were polite and stopped trying to violently assault the officers.
Good morning, sir. I'm Officer Steven. What'd you pull me over for, bro? There's a reason I pulled you over. Look, he don't even got a reason. Y'all always doing this shit, bro. Sir, you were going 95 and a 20 during school zone hours while kids were crossing the street. Yes, I was, but I guarantee you if I was you wouldn't have pulled me over. You only pulled me over because I bet my life on it. I bet my life on it.
As I've said in multiple videos, nobody is more mad at these BLM supporters than black people who follow the law and want to live in peaceful communities. This is generally the case for anybody who is a part of any race where bad actors make all the good people look bad.
This is not our area.
What do you mean?
This is not our area.
It's not an area for what?
You have to call 911 to report that incident. We're just
What?
I was walking down the block and she got assaulted right here, so I came up to the car to ask her and tell her about the report. That has nothing to do with y'all. Ain't you 911 though? Ain't you 911? Ain't you 911?
Holy shit, fire this chick. If you eat so many donuts on a daily basis that you have to waddle into the precinct to clock in, then you don't deserve to be a police officer. Like, what's with them hiring cops or security who are clearly unfit for the job? I mean, do you think this 4'5", 80-pound woman is going to save you if you're being attacked by a real criminal? Second, what do you mean, sorry, this is not our section? What the hell? You're literally the police. What do you mean he has to call 911? Call 911 and wait 10 minutes for the bad guy to flee when cops are standing right in front of him? What kind of stupid policy is this, and why aren't you disobeying it? You're letting criminals get away. So everybody's tired of putting up with shit like this.
Give me my motherfucking money. I have no money of yours. Get away!
I'm going to cut here because we're about to hit a part that's not YouTube safe, but spoilers, the white guy gets assaulted, and the worst part is that the bus is full of able-bodied people who have every opportunity to stop the assault, who just sit there and do nothing. Well, I guess one of them did film it. Also, they let the violent criminal escape.
Running. He's running. Oh, he's running.
What are you assholes doing? How dare you let that happen? People like you are a part of the reason why America has so much crime. The criminals do it because they know nobody will try to stop them. Well, except for this guy. This guy stopped the criminal. But no, it's racist to talk about statistics. It's racist to prevent crime. Are we all fatigued from these race grifters yet?
Do something more interesting, like call me a or something. Holy shit. I'm live in front of 13,000 people. You just ruined your college. Yeah.
I do not give a rat's fat ass.
So say it again. Call me a again. I'm live right now. You think I'm joking? I'm actually live on stream right now. Yeah. Yeah, your whole life is ruined now. Congrats. Yeah.
Nobody cares, it's just a word. Clearly you aren't that offended by it because you asked her to call you it multiple times. So why are you trying to ruin this girl's life? Again, literally nobody cares. Also, apparently there have been like 100 non-black influencers who have said it, and I know at least most of these people's careers are fine.
And this is what I've said before. The people don't want to defund the police. They want to be the police. They don't want to stop censorship. They want to be the censors. They don't want to stop racism. They want to be the ones in charge of who gets to be racist. And once you understand that all of the language is just in service of them maintaining a power structure for themselves, everything else makes sense.
Right, because make no mistake, these people are far, and I mean far more racist than some edgy young people who want to use gamer language. So we're done with all the accusations from people who are objectively worse human beings. And we're done with people trying to cover up crimes because the person happens to be of a certain race. I mean, look at this shit. Guy assaults a child and was free from jail despite 6 violent arrests. We have another one who killed a white lady, and the reason that he was able to do that is because they kept letting him go. If you have 40 arrests, then you need to be quarantined from the rest of society. You aren't going to be rehabilitated. We pay taxes to stop this. Why are we forced to live with a violent maniac? Oh, and if you weren't mad enough, speaking of cameras, a few years back, San Francisco Public Transit refused to release security footage for fear that it would make people racist. Why? Because it's all the same group doing all the violence? Why don't we shine some light on the problem and try to discuss what cultural factors might have led to that so we can prevent it? That's not racism. The racist is the person who thinks that violent criminals should be above public criticism. Certain toxic cultural ideas shouldn't be allowed to reign free. Like, what the hell is this? There's a guy who's walking around painting over graffiti, and people are mad saying that he's erasing black culture. So vandalism is black culture? Here, let me show you some more culture.
So you went back in there and paid for a candy that she had already walked out the store with?
Yeah, she stole it.
Why would you do that? I would never do something like that. I would just leave.
It's called integrity.
That dad is so fatigued. He's trying to raise his daughter to not be a criminal, and the mom is trying to stop him. You can see he's pissed. But I've seen a number of videos like this, and immediately when people get called out for committing crimes, they revert to calling everyone racist to escape negative feedback.
Walmart is racist! Walmart is racist!
Shut up. She said that after causing quite a bit of property damage. This arrest was well-deserved, and a part of the reason that she thinks she can try to wipe her crimes away with racism allegations is because BLM did that with thugs and murderers for like a decade. But I digress. These are people who think that Killmonger from Black Panther is the hero. There's something deeply wrong with this part of the culture, and again, no one is more mad about this than other black people. Because, you know, when people stop criminals, guess who's the most happy? That's right, black people.
It's quiet, young. And I don't know if you ever had to deal with the DC government, young, but they suck, young. Stuff been out of control for years.
Finally able to chill at a red light with my window down, not worried about if one of them young niggas is coming. Riding through the city, feeling more safe than I ever felt.
Yeah, isn't it nice? This is how it could be everywhere. That is how it should be everywhere. Anyway, did you guys hear about what happened on that train in North Carolina?
If you watch this video, This guy was sitting minding his own, she was minding her own business. She was also dressed in like baggy clothes, comes up, takes out a knife, stabs her to death. 14 times he was previously arrested. Situations like this are a nearly daily occurrence in our cities.
I feel like this was the moment that people started to lose it. And the reason for that is because if you watch the uncensored video, it is more terrifying than any horror film I've ever seen. I don't want to go over the most egregious parts of the footage for obvious reasons, but fortunately someone has made an artistic dramatization of the event. Basically what happened is that this girl was an immigrant. Remember how the radical left and the legacy media says they love immigrants? An immigrant who escaped from Ukraine. Again, remember how they used to talk about Ukraine nonstop? She was a 23-year-old white BLM supporter apparently, who sat on the train and was brutally killed before she even knew what was going on. And I will say that as someone who has been cut severely by glass before, you don't feel it. So she probably wasn't even fully aware that she was attacked, but you can see her in complete fear afterwards. And what would cause someone to do this? She called you the N-word. No, she didn't. She didn't even speak to you. Even if she did do that, it doesn't justify murder, but it does kind of suggest that she was killed because she's white. Oh, and of course, the media completely tried to cover it up.
The Associated Press wrote 0 stories about this over the weekend. PBS, New York Times, NPR, Wall Street Journal, BBC, CNN, Washington Post, Reuters, MSNBC, 0 stories.
The only reason that we know about this story is because of Twitter. People on Twitter created such a fury that the news outlets had to cover it.
So stop politicizing this. This is not political. This has to do with how we take care of our sick Americans when they are in need.
What do you mean this isn't political? It's absolutely political. Remember in 2020 that there was a career criminal who was about to drive a car under the influence of fentanyl before he OD'd? Do you remember that? Remember how you pieces of shit in the media covered it nonstop through a massive disinformation campaign where you hid information and caused months of rioting? And you did that because he was black. But when it's an innocent white girl just trying to take the train in peace, you say nothing.
If not for independent media, no one would know this was happening. It's fucking sickening. Where are all the cops? Where are all the mayors kneeling and kissing a gold-encrusted coffin like they did for George Fentanyl Floyd? That motherfucker was a criminal who died of an overdose, and the entire city was up in flames. The whole country was rioting. Every cop was kneeling and crying to the woke mob in order to make believe that they cared so much. It's fucking bullshit, fake-ass, virtue-signaling ass crack of a society. Here you get a random girl killed for fucking no reason. No reason at all.
Actually, when they finally did start to cover it, they were very quick to make it political. Here's an article from the New York Times. A gruesome murder in North Carolina ignites firestorm on the right. And then the article spends the whole time attacking conservatives and running PR for the killer. It was probably one of the most disgusting things I've seen in my entire life. Oh wait, here's something else that's pretty bad too.
We don't know why that man did what he did. We don't know how to deal with people who were hurting in the way this man was hurting. Hurt people hurt people. What happened was horrible.
Yes, the killer was just so misunderstood. That makes everything he did okay. Of course it was CNN that reported this. CNN is so well known for having dishonest reporting that at a first glance, I had trouble telling if this picture was real or not. Local graduate takes a stab at white supremacy. After decades of sitting in the back of the train, D. Carlos Brown Jr. took a stab at ending white supremacy. Now he risks losing his job at NASA. This happens every time one of these murderers of a particular race makes national news. They did it in the European article too. The media is always like, he was father of the year, a 4.0 student with a thriving business. Meanwhile, the business is drug dealing, and in reality, he's a career criminal.
This person had an extensive criminal history, including a lengthy history of arrests dating back to 2011, including offenses such as felony larceny, robbery with a dangerous weapon, and communicating threats. He reportedly served approximately 5 years in prison, being released around September 2020 for the robbery with a deadly weapon conviction. He also assaulted his sister just months later.
Oh, good. Huh, I didn't even see that one. Huh, wow, fantastic.
Okay, causing minor injuries. And again, as the news mentioned, this guy had a mental health related incident. Okay.
So then why is he in public? Then this dude should be in the asylum forever. He's a danger to the people around him, so we're gonna let him go on cashless bail. Hope he doesn't kill anyone. I'm telling you, man, this fucking bullshit empathy, it's too far.
This story has also caused a lot of unsympathetic assholes to engage in whataboutism and say, remember when that white guy killed somebody? Yes, we do. The problem is that everybody can talk about that, but we can't talk about this. Something else people began to notice is that there was a Netflix video of a similar context, except the train villain was a white guy. So after seeing this, a bunch of people started posting crime statistics noting that black people are mostly killed by other black people, and here's the more interesting thing. They also noted that the total number of white people killed by black people is twice the number of whites who kill blacks. And that's not even a per capita rate. Per capita, if my math is correct, you're like 9 times more likely as a white person to be killed by a black person than the other way around. So this constant narrative of the past 10 years of how dangerous white people are is egregiously wrong. But I can't expect that much morality from Netflix because remember, they were the ones who put cuties on their platform.
I am an unemployed college dropout. I barely know how to code, which is why I've failed every job interview I've ever had. The closest I got was at Netflix until I brought up the cuties controversy. What did you think about Netflix standing by cuties?
So to be honest, I really would rather, I probably would rather not touch on those. Do you have any other questions about like the, what it's like to work for us or the culture or...
But what's even worse was the number of black people who were openly happy that a white person was killed, just like they cheered on Carmelo Anthony killing Austin Metcalf. This one says deserved and has a crown edited onto D. Carlos Brown's head. Next we have, we're even for George Floyd now. And last, we have one that says, D. Carlos is the natural response to 400 plus years of oppression. Expect more like him. Basically encouraging violence by rubber stamping it. In response to all of this, we have a tweet saying, America will never be the same.
What are we doing where we are sympathizing with fucking murderers? I can literally feel in real time myself becoming radicalized because this country is forcing me to. These people are forcing me to because the people in charge are a fucking joke.
Yep, I think a lot of people feel the same, but we haven't even hit the most disturbing part yet, which is that you see all these people here, none of them tried to stop the guy, though one guy did take out his camera and filmed. Now, understandably, there was no stopping him from attacking the Ukrainian girl. Unfortunately, that was just too quick. But after that, they let him go free. And let me point out how ridiculous that is, because I'm sure someone will say, well, he had a knife, man, what could they do? Thank you for making an argument in favor of the Second Amendment. Welcome to the team. Second, if you watch the video, D. Carlos Brown puts the knife away, walks around, takes his jacket off, and no one does a thing. There were plenty of opportunities to make sure that he doesn't escape or worse, hurt someone else, or both. And now you might say that these people probably didn't see what happened. Okay, so then why the fuck didn't the people who saw it say, hey, that guy just killed somebody the minute he put the knife away? The most frustrating thing here is watching them let him exit the train, free to attack someone else.
She was scared, holding herself, and then slumped over unconscious. And they just let her lie there.
This is horrible, and I've been on Twitter long enough to know that this reaction from people isn't isolated to this situation. So as bad as it is to watch a number of black people cheer on the death of an innocent girl, I think it's far more sickening to watch a train or a bus full of people who give no help to someone being attacked and do nothing to keep the attacker from escaping. Also, look at this here.
New York City is not safe. It's not safe for women, okay? I am so sick and tired of having to look over my shoulder 24/7, not just at night, during the day, at all hours. I'm sick and tired of it.
Now, this girl is a reformed liberal, so give her some credit, but a big reason there is so much crime is because of stupid radical leftist soft-on-crime voting policies, and get used to those policies because Mamdani is probably going to win, and he's in favor of making the New York justice system even more useless.
Are prisons obsolete?
I mean, what purpose do they serve?
Right.
Right? I think we have to ask ourselves that, which is that, you know, I think a lot of people who defend the carceral state, they defend the idea of it and the way it makes them feel.
Yeah, it makes me feel safe because you've quarantined all the bad people from civilized society. How is this guy popular? How is there no one better than him? With all the people in New York City, there's no one?
Men, when are you going to wake up and realize that the women in your life are not safe? When are you going to protect us? When are you going to defend us? I don't know how many years I will have lost in my life to being so hypervigilant and having my nervous system jacked every fucking time I walk past a man on the street. Why are you still playing video games with dudes that think that Trump is the greatest thing to ever happen to this country? Look out for me. Do something.
It's weird because men are trying to keep people safe, yet there are tons of assholes who will support them being arrested for it. Like Daniel Penny, for example, who, from the sounds of it, stopped a crazy homeless guy from doing something horrible. Meanwhile, career criminals like DeCarlos Brown get a catch and release program from judges. And if you want things like that to stop, if you want people to stop getting punished for stopping criminals, then you need to be very loud in your support of the heroes with stuff like monetary donations to their legal funds, and be very loud in your distaste of people who are trying to increase the crime rate by letting criminals go free and by punishing good citizens. And when I say that, I mean that the judges who kept giving DeCarlos Brown a break need to be investigated and put on trial, and if they're found guilty, they should receive the same punishment that the murderer would get. It's time to be tough on crime. There are not enough penalties for being a criminal.
We need more people in jail. We do not have enough people in prison in America. We do not have to live this way. You can create a society and a culture where you can get on a train or a subway and not be Irina Zarutska and get stabbed to death in the neck because some black criminal decides, I'm just going to go do it.
He's right. Stop letting criminals go free. Now, I'm sure that most of you can probably figure out why I put so many clips of Charlie Kirk in this video. And actually, I'll say that I've kind of slowly been collecting information for this video for about 2 months now. Charlie Kirk was already in my notes and planned to be in the video because of what he said about South Korea being extremely safe. So he was already going to be in this video. However, what I would not anticipate is how major of a role he would play. And that's because on September 10th, 2025, I was scrolling down Twitter, taking a break from work, and I saw a tweet saying, Charlie Kirk has been shot. And I couldn't believe it. So I started researching, and it turns out that it actually did happen. So I made a post about it on Twitter, sharing my disbelief, thinking he was probably okay. And then someone generously posted an uncensored close-up video of the shooting, and immediately I knew it was over. But there were no official announcements yet. People were saying that technically he could still survive, even though it looked bad. So I spent, I believe, about 2 hours frozen in front of my computer screen, refreshing Twitter, hoping that we would get news of yet another failed assassination attempt. Maybe we'd see Charlie in bandages, he wouldn't be able to speak that well, but he would give us a thumbs up, and we would know that everything is okay. But that didn't happen. Instead, what I found was a tweet from Hassan Piker, of all people. America is an insanely violent nation. Gee, I wonder who the fuck has been promoting violence for like his entire career, Hassan. Then Twitter gave me a second tweet from him. Trump announces that Charlie Kirk has died. Maybe it's poetic that I heard the news from Hassan first, or maybe it's demonic.
To my great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight, all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Our prayers are with his wife, Erica, the two young, beloved children, and his entire family, who he loved more than anything in the world. Charlie was the best of America, and the monster who attacked him was attacking our whole country. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now.
I'll read it again. Charlie Kirk's final tweet said, America will never be the same. He'll never know how true that statement is, as we all got the pleasure of being traumatized by 2 snuff films in a 1-week period. One of the most polite and empathetic live debaters that I've seen, Charlie Kirk, was shot because of what he had to say, and an innocent woman, Irina Zarutska, who was just trying to use the train, was stabbed by some lunatic who had 14 priors. Worse yet, not only did they suffer, but all of us who watched the video had to suffer along with them. I think for different reasons, though. They suffered the tragedy, and the people who were close to them suffered the loss of a loved one. Irina's family and friends lost her, Charlie's wife lost her husband, and now there are 2 children who will grow up never knowing their father outside of a computer screen. Not to mention the worst of this, which is that his death happened in front of his wife and his daughter. So they have to suffer the direct trauma of loss, and all of us have to suffer with the knowledge that we're living in a very different place than we thought we were. It's crazy to me how just 1 to 2 months ago, we were all celebrating that Charlie got parodied by South Park.
The whole thing is just awesome and hilarious. There's so much more I want to say about this, but the whole shtick, by the way, Comedy Central, South Park, you crushed the water. I compulsively drink water on campus.
He literally starts taking the lid off
and before he can get a drink in, he sets it back down and grabs the mic and shuts down the person he's debating with. That clip was hilarious.
This was such a win and a fun moment, and clearly South Park put a lot of effort into copying his mannerisms. So moments like that kind of make me sad on a personal level, and I'm sure other people feel the same way. But in the aftermath, we all suffer with the idea of what this country has become. To watch people be brutally killed, and then see the next part of this story, which is everyone who was happy that those people got killed.
Well, I just saw the video of Charlie Kirk getting his box boomed. I mean, boomed, bitch, like, gone. I have no issue with it.
Yo, they got Charlie Kirk, bro. I've never been happier.
I will not ever feel bad when bad people get what the fuck they deserve.
Rest in peace, bozo!
Maybe there are good guys with guns out there.
Oh, but he was a man with a wife and kids.
Yeah, and now they're safe from him.
I think most people watching can sympathize with how sick and disgusting it is to see people cheer on a public murder, not because Charlie did anything criminal, but because they disagreed with his ideas. Here's J.K. Rowling tweeting the day after, "If you believe political opponents should be punished with violence or death, you're a terrorist." Well said.
Millions of people in this country apparently believe the acceptable response to speech they don't like is murder.
Now, I will note that there was a shooting at Evergreen High School in Colorado on the same day that Charlie Kirk died, so I'll briefly address that by saying that it's sad, and I'm tired of all these assholes sacrificing children for political points when all they have to do to stop the vast majority of school shootings is hire a few armed security guards to protect the students and protect the teachers. Like, why is this still an issue? This is why I hate politicians. There are tons of simple answers to these questions, yet they refuse to do what's obvious. Anyway, let's go to the moment where TMZ employees were caught cheering in the background right after the news that Charlie Kirk died was released.
Janet, go. Trump just posted that Charlie Kirk is dead.
The great part of this is that TMZ did a follow-up video where they said that people in the background were cheering because of a car chase, which, if you sync the time of the car chase up with the cheering, nothing important was happening. So everyone thinks TMZ was full of shit. But they weren't the only ones to backpedal. Here's a singer who, ironically, goes by Bob Villain, who said this.
I want to dedicate this next one to an absolute piece of shit of a human being. The pronouns was, were. Because if you chat shit, you will get banned. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk, you piece of shit.
Now, let me just consider the optics of this by saying that as a person who stands up on top of a stage for a living and says his ideas, do you really think it's a smart idea to say from an extremely vulnerable position from a security standpoint that people should be shot if someone disagrees with them? Well, he knows he can say that because despite the current rhetoric of the left, the right is not violent. And unlike the left, there aren't massive amounts of people who believe political assassinations are justified, as well as domestic terrorism. But I will also note that Bob Villain here tried to pretend that he didn't say he was okay with people being assassinated.
Real quick, at no point during yesterday's show was Charlie Kirk's death celebrated.
Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk, you piece of shit.
So make no mistake, an uncomfortable amount of people on the left who have been calling everyone heartless villains for years were perfectly okay with this guy being shot in front of his family for words they didn't like.
There are, I think I've seen about 7 instances of people selling merchandise and memorabilia with this horrible image of Charlie Kirk's neck leaking blood. People are making stickers of it. It is, needless to say, very fucked up.
Of course they made merch. Very capitalistic of them.
I didn't realize how sick liberals were until this Charlie Kirk situation. Like, I don't want to live on the same planet as these people. Like, I have experienced real racism in my life, actually. You know? And I don't think those people deserve death. You guys can't even deal with an actual, like, political discourse with a center-right political figure.
But the question is, why? Why are they okay with this? What could he have possibly said that was so offensive that he deserved to die?
By the sword, die by the sword. He did say that gun deaths were an acceptable side effect of gun rights.
Charlie Kirk? I mean, he himself said a couple of deaths here and there aren't so bad to keep our Second Amendment right.
Oh my god, I recognize that crazy bitch. She's the one from the video that I did about leftist violence. What an unexpected cameo. But okay, he said something like people should die so his greedy ass can have guns, And they kept citing this clip here, so let's watch it.
I'm a big Second Amendment fan, but I think most politicians are cowards when it comes to defending why we have a Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is not about hunting. I love hunting. The Second Amendment is not even about personal defense. That is important. The Second Amendment is there, God forbid, so that you can defend yourself against a tyrannical government. Governments tend to get tyrannical, and that if people need an ability to protect themselves and their communities and their families. Now, we must also be real. We must be honest with the population. Having an armed citizenry comes with a price. Driving comes with a price. 50,000 people die on the road every year. That's a price. You get rid of driving, you'd have 50,000 less auto fatalities. But we have decided that the benefit of driving, speed, accessibility, mobility, having products, services, is worth the cost of 50,000 people dying on the road.
I mean, that sounds like a pretty reasonable argument. Saying that someone should have died for that is batshit insane, because you can apply his logic to anything really, like workplace deaths. I'm willing to pay the cost of someone at some point getting into a lethal accident while stocking shelves so that I can drive to the store and go get groceries, and I know all of you are okay with that too. People in power plants die. Should we get rid of electricity? Do you know how many people would die if we got rid of electricity tomorrow? That would probably devastate the entire country. So I think most people would say that unfortunate accidents at power plants are worth the benefits of electricity. There's no utopian solution where nobody dies. Everything has a cost, and that's what he was saying. He's saying the death toll of not having guns would be higher because of government tyranny, like how Hitler disarmed the Jews, and well, we all know what happened after that. These are repeating cycles in history, which is why the reason for the Second Amendment is primarily to stop tyrannical governments. Now, since this gotcha moment from the psycho libs who think Charlie deserved to be shot was almost certainly about school shootings, let's listen to what he has to say about that.
So we need to be very clear that you're not going to get gun deaths to zero. It will not happen. You can significantly reduce them through having more fathers in the home, by having more armed guards in front of schools. We should have an honest and clear reductionist view of gun violence, but we should not have a utopian one. You will never live in a society when you have an armed citizenry and you won't have a single gun death. That is nonsense. It's drivel. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. People say, oh, Charlie, how do you stop school shootings? I don't know. How did we stop shootings at baseball games? Because we have armed guards outside of baseball games. That's why. How do we stop all the shootings at banks? We have armed guards outside of banks.
Thank you. I'm so glad that I'm not the only one saying that all you have to do is put armed guards at schools, and you would almost entirely end school shootings. Of course, two-parent homes are important, and I agree with all the other stuff he said, but if we wanted to end school shootings right now, a couple of guards at each school would stop them. And then we can work on the mental health and cultural issues that cause crimes like that to happen in the first place, which, you know, is the theme of this video. There's a reason why I've included Charlie talking about the importance of two-parent homes. It's a big deal. It's the biggest deal. Actually, speaking of communities that have high rates of single motherhood, here are some stats that I'm sure radical leftists don't want you to know. This comes from the CDC. Did you know that if you remove blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans from the equation, gun homicides in America plummet like crazy? I mean, look at that. This is insane. Black people commit gun homicide at like 10 times the rate of white people, and it's more than that compared to Asians. Guess which communities have strong family values? All right, let's see why else Charlie deserved to die.
How do you feel about Charlie Kirk being assassinated yesterday on a college campus?
I actually want to say something about this. If you're going to spread hateful shit and you're going to target marginalized groups of people, don't be all, oh my God, I've been shot. I won't get shot because I don't do that. I don't have to worry about that. I don't feel bad for him. I don't feel bad for his wife. I feel bad for his daughter. He did that to himself. You want to talk about all this crazy shit? Don't act crazy when other people are going to fucking come and shoot you.
Do you think your life should be in danger for having an opinion?
If it targets marginalized groups of people, yes. You are spreading hateful speech. It's not like I have an opinion about if I like ketchup or mustard. No, you're talking about people of groups, marginalized people. Those are hateful. That is hateful speech.
I love how she's like, I believe people should be shot for their opinions, but I'm on the right side of history, so it would be wrong to shoot me. These people never fail to show how self-centered they are. But the more ironic part is how uninformed she is on this, because Charlie seemed to deeply care about communities that she would consider to be marginalized. Basically, she's saying that he should be shot because he said that black families should stay together.
Some of you out there getting very emotional over Charlie Kirk. Yes, I feel bad for his kids. Not for him though. He spread racism, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, anti-LGBTQIA+. Have we all forgot about that?
Really? A Muslim is going to complain about homophobia? Why don't you clean your own house before you criticize others? Especially since Charlie Kirk is known for speaking out against conservatives who wanted to kick gay people out of the party.
Now, both you and your organization advocate for the acceptance of anti-Christian, immoral lifestyles like homosexuality and transsexuality.
Let me ask you a question. Are you a Trump supporter?
Yes, sir.
So are you a proud Trump supporter?
Of course.
So are you sickened that he had a gay man speak at his convention?
Yes.
Then you're not a Trump supporter, my friend. I also do not believe in the sort of rhetoric that some people engage in, that all of a sudden that they say there's no place for gay people in the conservative movement. I do not believe that. Jesus Christ talked to all people. Jesus Christ went and did his ministry through Judea and Samaria, and he had dinner with tax collectors, and he had dinner with prostitutes, and he did his ministry in every part of the Mediterranean. What it means to be a Christian, my friend, is to be open-minded but firm in your beliefs, so you can have that belief. But if you say there's something inherently wrong with communicating or associating just because they make different personal decisions than you, sir, are not a conservative.
Interesting what happens here when you have more of the context of what someone has said instead of getting all your political takes from idiots on TikTok. I'm not saying that you have to do intense research here, but if you can't even watch a 2-minute clip that's not being filtered through the lens of your favorite creator before you decide if someone should be shot, then you're a retard and no one should listen to you. Speaking of transphobia, does this sound transphobic?
I'm a transgender male. What age should kids be able to get things like hormone therapy? Because I don't know what's true, what's not.
Tell me, are you comfortable telling me your story?
I've known that since like 3rd grade, and I'm currently 19, almost 20. I just don't know, like, with the whole medical stuff, like what's true, what's not, what's helpful, because I've heard so many different opinions.
First of all, thank you so much for that.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm going to have an opinion that very few people will ever tell you, which is I want you to be very cautious putting drugs into your system in the pursuit of changing your body.
Mm-hmm.
I instead encourage you to work on what's going on in your brain first. I think what you need first and foremost is just a diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
Just someone that is going to listen to what you've gone through, listen to what else is going on. My prayer for you, and again, very few people will say this, I actually want to see you be comfortable in how you were born.
Yeah.
I know that you might not feel that way, but I think that is something that you can achieve. I think that with the right team and the right people, you don't have to wage war on your body. You can learn to love your body.
I mean, I gotta say that has to be one of the most compassionate and empathetic ways to phrase that. Doesn't force his beliefs, says what he thinks, and shows respect. It sounds like he really cares about this trans person. And also, I have to say that I've been watching Charlie Kirk a ton in prep for this video, and I mean, you have to take this guy wildly out of context to make it seem like he said something 1% as bad as anything you see Hassan regularly going viral for saying or doing. Keep in mind that there are crazies out there scrubbing through all of Charlie's content, and that gun thing was the worst thing they could find. Meanwhile, Hassan is here doxing his enemies.
Dylan Burns, Hunter Avalon, Hutch, Destiny's Own Personal Chef. Like, this is what happened. This is what took place.
To be clear, on the actual stream, none of this personal info was censored. And by the way, for all the terrible things that Hassan has done, I don't think he should be shot. Maybe he should spend some time in jail, though. All right, 2 more. I'm just going to quickly sum these up. People said they were mad because Charlie didn't like the civil rights movement.
Oh, I just saw this video where he said the Civil Rights Act was a mistake. Get out of here. Anybody that says shit like that, I don't care what happens.
I'm not sure if I entirely agree with him on this because I don't think I know enough of the exact history, but basically his argument is that the resulting affirmative action and DEI programs are actually harmful to the people that they're supposed to be helping, and harmful to everyone else. I can see how there's an argument there, and maybe some of that should be reformed, because affirmative action and DEI are cancer. Last, they were mad that Charlie said that you should not be allowed to abort a baby if they were the product of sexual assault. I would contend that this is kind of a hot take. Personally, I believe there should be some special exceptions for abortion, so I don't think Charlie and I would see eye to eye on this 100%. However, make no mistake that the reason his opponents are using this sexual assault argument is so they can justify using abortion as birth control, and personally, I think using abortion as birth control is highly immoral and should be illegal. Either way, saying that someone should be shot for any of these opinions is insane. But the problem is that there are now probably hundreds of thousands or millions of people in America who are open about their belief that you should die for believing something they don't.
My coworker was all in a tizzy because she gonna tell me that Charlie Kirk got shot, and I said good. So we get into this whole conversation about it, and she goes, well, you can't hate people for their political views. And I'm like, yes, I can. Like, that's specifically why I hate people sometimes. You can't hate me for my views because my views don't infringe upon your rights. You don't hate me for what I believe in because it doesn't interfere with your life. Some of these views are dangerous. And I'm glad he got shot. Hopefully he dies. I don't care.
I'm in disbelief of how stupid her reasoning is. But notice how she's like, yeah, I think you should get to kill people who say things I don't like, but I'm on the right side of history, so you shouldn't get to kill me. Right, because the people who promote murder are always the good guys, though she's not the only one with these beliefs.
So the day after Charlie Kirk died, I was in class. My teacher said, I'll give you 5 minutes for hot takes about Charlie Kirk. I was the only person who raised their hand. I said, I've been saying we need to bring back political assassinations. I don't feel bad, and I don't think that everyone deserves the right to free speech. I think some people should be afraid to express their opinion in public. So this class is literally about revolution in China. All of our readings for this month have been talking about how violent revolution liberated millions of people, it liberated women, and then our reading for that day was specifically about democratic dictatorship, where Mao writes about, yes, people deserve free speech, but there should not be free speech for reactionaries and imperialists and like capitalists and all these people who are enemies of the revolution, because that would reverse the progress that was made.
I love how these people never think that anyone would shoot them for their opinions. Or really, maybe it's just an admission that they know the right is not actually violent, so they aren't afraid to say these things. But also, these people are so stupid that they think they would survive a violent revolution or a civil war without any major injuries or without any of their friends and family dying.
Well, some people have to get shot.
Developing news today.
But it's not you. People love saying stuff like that because they think it's never going to be them, right? Like, everybody likes saying this kind of stuff because they assume that when this happens, it's all going to happen to somebody else, or somebody else is going to have to do it.
Understand that if this country breaks down, you'll be lucky if you don't die. In this case, this person was willing to burn down the system over Dunkin' Donuts, so the revolution isn't sending its best. But this is why you don't encourage political violence, because it will always come back to you. Whatever you do to them will be done to you, and it's actually disgusting how brazen these people feel in telling everyone to murder their political opponents.
And someone need to get the wife too. Fuck her. She just as motherfucking trifling.
Let me just say this. I'm surprised that y'all didn't get rid of him sooner. And I'm surprised that you guys aren't getting rid of more people. Like, don't stop with him. Don't let him be the end dog. Get rid of them all. It was so crazy. I watched like a 1 minute edit of like the things he said, and they're like so atrocious that like his wife deserves to go too. Y'all keep on talking about his wife and kids. They need to go too because they're carrying on that mentality and that lineage. Like y'all too scary. Y'all too scary for revolution. Y'all too scary for progress. Like y'all want results without putting in the work. You gonna have to take out trash to get a clean house. Like it is what it is. Take the garbage out, y'all. Take the garbage out. All right. Not me. I'm chilling.
The more I see stuff like this, the more I think we should just start arresting these people for saying it. I'm not there yet, but bit by bit, I'm getting closer. The violent rhetoric has to stop. It's not good that people on the internet are constantly trying to push the mentally ill into murdering people on the opposite political team. And by that, I mean it's basically only meant to attack the right. Leftists are the only ones who have this incredibly violent cultural narrative, and it goes past Charlie Kirk and Trump. Here's someone telling people to kill libs of TikTok. This next guy is telling people to kill Elon.
Listen, all the Elon Trump stuff, it's getting to a point, man. It's getting like somebody is going to have to, preferably someone who's already doing it, you know, so one of y'all. But somebody's going to have to just throw their life away on this one, you know. Just kind of take one for the team, you know, just somebody has got to just, you know, kind of get in there and go make history.
You know who you are. You know who you are. So just buck up and do your duty, you know?
Okay, why don't you throw your life away if it's such a good cause? These people are spineless. And like, you do realize that you're trying to call yourself the good guy while you're saying that you would willingly engage in human sacrifice to win at politics. Again, I'm starting to think that this country is way too lenient on threats and calls to action for political violence. Speaking of arresting people, let's talk about the shooter. Much to the dismay of alt-right conspiracy theorists, he was not on a plane to Israel the minute the shooting was over. They caught him 2 days later, I think. Here he is. His name is Tyler Robinson, and he was turned in by his own father, who was a conservative, which the left were just so happy about. Hassan was just giddy at the thought of the shooter being MAGA.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them.
Right, because I've never heard of any kid who has rebelled against their parents' political beliefs. Surely Dean Withers didn't end up on the left despite having MAGA parents, and neither did Destiny.
This is the guy calling the Charlie Kirk shooter a right-wing conservative MAGA guy, by the way. The guy, living with his trans partner and lover, furry enjoyer, notices bulge ooh-woo guy, who uses anti-fascist terminology, the Bella Ciao song used by Antifa. Literally his own mother, own family, and friends said he's a heavily left-wing radical. He wrote a message saying, "I want to protect you, my love," to his trans partner, and he obviously thought Charlie was a transphobe and wanted to take him out. This guy killed the most effective conservative activist in a generation, but no, he's a right-wing conservative. He was a MAGA grifter, actually. He's probably an Asmongold fan, obviously.
There's no way this kid was on the right. Nobody calls people fascists but far-left nutjobs. Though personally, I don't have much interest in the shooter outside of thinking it's funny that he was a furry, or looking at these super cringe messages that he sent to his transgender partner. He seems to mostly be a complete idiot who fired a gun and caused a COVID-sized political rift. Oh, and then there's that old guy who claimed that he was the shooter so that the real one could get away. I hope he finishes the rest of his days in prison. Nice job, soldier. But what I'm more interested in is what caused all of this. Why do so many Americans think political violence is okay? I mean, this is a different country than the one I grew up in. Well, I think it starts in small ways, like a news organization showing off a salt gun by mock assassinating Trump.
Okay, Donald Trump's here, so let's say Donald Trump.
It doesn't hurt.
Put him down there.
Or
Does it have like a laser?
I'm not sure it's actually that far.
I feel like there needs to be a laser on this thing. Or do you,
Well,
okay.
this is.
Oh!
Hey! Yeah, I think people pay attention to stuff like that, and certainly a lot of them don't think it's a joke. And they've been suggesting that Trump should be killed because he's mean since Kathy Griffin did that photo shoot with a fake bloodied head. Then for years they said words were violence with the term microaggression, where retarded college professors and staff said it was violent and aggressive speech to ask somebody where they're from. So now we have tons of idiots like this person that J.K. Rowling is responding to who say words are violence. No, they aren't. You don't get to kill somebody because they hurt your feelings. I mean, look at the escalation on this. Around 2017, they were saying that you should be fined and then jailed for misgendering people, and Jordan Peterson went viral for opposing that. Now they're saying that you should get to kill people for misgendering. You see what a slippery slope violence is? So that kind of stuff was the boiling the frog era, and once they got you to accept the lighter stuff, Hassan and his fan club could actively promote violence.
Left-wingers, liberals, you need to be fucking showing your opponent's guts on there, okay? You need to be gutting them. You need to be shanking these motherfuckers, slice them and fucking dice them.
If you cared about Medicare fraud or Medicaid fraud, you would kill Rick Scott.
7 Bellevue Drive, and I'm gonna kill you with my AR-15. Like that's the type of messages they were leaving in this dude's office, and he's resigning. Like he's literally, this is his last term.
We do need to make sure we do. We got to keep attracting younger viewers that, grow up on TikTok, when they're 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, even though they shouldn't be.
Here's the crazy thing. Hassan spends all of this time promoting super violent and super hostile rhetoric along with multiple calls to action for violence, but when he has to watch the consequences of it, he can't handle it.
There is a close-up, there is a closer footage of Charlie Kirk getting shot in the neck here as well, where you can oh, he's dead. Oh my God, he's definitely dead. Oh my God, I can't believe I just saw that. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, he definitely got shot in the neck. Oh my God. Oh, fuck. Oh yeah. No, that footage. That you do not want to see that. You do not want to see that. You do not want to see that.
What's the matter, Hassan? Isn't this what you've been calling for? How many people have you told your audience to assassinate? This is what an assassination looks like.
What's up, Charlie? How you doing?
You gotta send me commission on all the YouTube videos you make about it.
What a fun time. Such good banter there. Everyone's laughing. Isn't this so great? Well, now he's dead. And personally, I think Hassan is at minimum partially responsible for this because of his numerous calls for violence and support of terrorism. Also, I think most of the shock that Hassan shows in this video is him realizing that it could easily happen to him. So maybe promoting political violence and violent revolution is a bad idea.
These people have played a formative role in Charlie Kirk's his situation. He has played a formative role in his own demise by playing a part in a media landscape, in a media environment that normalizes his death and destruction.
Holy shit, Hassan, pay attention to your own projections. Also, show me that clip compilation of Charlie Kirk calling for violence. I'm having trouble finding it, but it's easy as fuck to find Hassan calling for violence. Oh, and don't forget our good, level-headed liberal Destiny, who always has an intelligent thing to add to the conversation, and he is a master of debate.
You need conservatives to be afraid of getting killed when they go to events so that they look to their leadership to turn down the temperature. The issue is right now, they don't feel like there's any fear. Like, I don't know. It's like memes. It's just memes to everybody, I guess. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't care. I'm playing video games.
This guy is supposed to be smart? Hey, everyone, let's turn down the temperature. By the way, people who say things I disagree with should die. Here's an idea. Maybe the side that keeps rioting and trying to kill people should turn down the temperature. Not to say that this shouldn't be expected. Destiny literally thinks his own parents should die for being Trump supporters.
How about your parents? If they get their brains blown out at a rally, would you have the same attitude? They are democracy-hating insurrectionists after all. One, you permaban for asking a stupid question, because the obvious answer two is, listen, they're adults. They make their own fucking decisions. If you want to support an insurrectionist president, then whatever comes of that that's your consequences. Again, it's not a fucking joke. My mom is an immigrant to the United States of America. She was 5 years old. Her parents worked really hard to get her here. She served for 20 years in the Air Force, along with my dad. They know exactly what they're doing. They should know exactly what they're supporting. It was my mom that, ranted at me for over a decade about how evil the USSR and Putin and all the Chi-Coms and all that shit. So whatever, if they go to a rally and they whatever the fuck, it's less end of life cost for me to deal with. It's on them. That's their decision. You think I'm gonna fucking lose sleep over that? No. We all have our own paths to walk in life. We all have our own decisions to make.
This isn't even all the drama around Destiny. For those of you who don't know, in a private conversation, Destiny admitted to Willie Mack that he had saved child sexual abuse material to his computer. This was after Destiny was already in trouble for filming non-consensual sex tapes and then sharing them, which makes all of these things he said in the past make a lot more sense.
There are 15-year-old chicks that are hot as that will try to send you pictures to fuck you at events and shit, and it's you have to be really careful when you navigate that. Well, if you just because you molest a child doesn't make you a pedophile. That's not.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does, Stephanie. I disagree.
I mean, those are some really suspicious takes. So there's been a lot of promotion of violence, along with saying that people who say things that you disagree with should be physically assaulted or worse. And now that all that foundation has been set up, all you have to do to get someone assaulted or worse is run a massive smear campaign against them and label them as basically Hitler, so then it's okay to attack them.
Next one is, a few weeks before Charlie Kirk was assassinated, CNN runs widely viewed interview with Destiny describing Charlie Kirk as spawn of Satan.
But here's the interesting thing. It's not just weirdos like Destiny who do this. This type of narrative is very common with leftists. They call everyone they disagree with a fascist, followed by ironically participating in some of the most fascistic censorship campaigns. And when I say that, I mean that right-wing speakers have to go into colleges with full-on security detail just to do a talk.
Speech is not a left-wing value. That is why they have to deploy shock troops called Antifa to go after everywhere I go. When I go to University of California, Davis next week, there has to be 120 police officers because of the threats, the violent threats of liberals that want to disrupt our events. There are no right-wing hecklers that come to events like this. Michael Knowles, Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro, myself, Candace Owens need 24/7, 365 armed security to prevent ourselves from the violent threats from the left. And so I think it's rather clear there's one side that is trying to do everything they can to shut one side up and one side that's trying to open up the marketplace of ideas. And I think that's rather self-evident.
He's serious. I went to some of these political speeches when I was younger, and not only did the speakers have their own security, but the audience had to be protected by police officers too, because Antifa and BLM would show up trying to cause a riot or try to beat up attendees. And again, these people call anyone they disagree with a Nazi, and then say, punch a Nazi. So let's be clear, when they say that people should be killed for having the wrong political beliefs, they mean you.
This is you. This is your sister, your wife, your daughter. But this right here is you. And this is their reaction when you are killed. This is their ecstasy when the floor of the subway car is awash in your blood. This is you. Make no mistake, that is a symbol. That is you. This is Charlie's family. And these are his children who will never be able to hug their dad. These are the people who smugly revel in this, and they won't stop with just Charlie.
I think this is spot on, like that video that Sam made about American companies trying to use H-1B visas to replace all the American jobs with cheap Indian labor.
I think the truth behind that is he's not a guy that even remotely had it coming, not that anybody does, but he's not even on the radar of guys that deserve that. And what he represents is, because he's such a non-martyr material, he represents that it could happen to everybody. And I see a lot of people saying, that's my uncle's politics, that's my grandfather's politics. And they are now realizing that, oh, they want my loved ones dead.
Yeah.
For holding some of the most benign political stances.
Right. I think that Charlie Kirk had some of the most incredibly benign political takes that the majority of people would agree with, which is why he was so popular. So when they're saying that he should be killed, they're saying that you should be killed. And these people have the audacity to lie and call the right the party of violence because of January 6th. January 6th, where they were let into the Capitol building and none of the protesters killed anybody. Listen, I'm not a fan of what happened on that day, and I was very pissed at the right at that time, but to say that one day is comparable to a decade of violent riots where people were murdered, businesses were looted, and property was destroyed is insane. Anytime one of these idiots calls the right the party of violence, ask them to name 5 riots caused by the right in America over the past 10 years. They can't because there haven't been 5. Meanwhile, I can name 5 riots from the left that all happened in the same week just a few months ago. Tons of these people are trying to falsely claim that the right is this super violent political movement. You have Ilhan Omar using this graph from the ADL to say that the right is violent. Wait, isn't the ADL pro-Israel? Isn't that haram? Anyway, let's look at what they consider right-wing violence, and what in the hell do any of these have to do with political violence or terrorism? I mean, this one was a prison murder. I don't see how that has any effect on the political landscape. This other guy was a domestic abuser, but oh wait, they found QAnon in his browser history. There you go. That's like saying George Floyd died of COVID because he tested positive during the autopsy.
The things that they're calling political violence is like absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
One was like a homeless man who broke in and attacked a hotel guy and he yelled a slur. So they call that political violence. And anytime it was like against a Jew, they called it right wing. And it was like, okay, but there's left wing, like anti-Jew people. You know what I mean?
Lots of right wing Jews.
And there's lots of, yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, they had like a guy that got in a fight with his neighbor, and the neighbor was Mexican. They call that right wing violence.
Right. That's instantly right wing violence.
They say there's like political violence is down, and then you look and it was like 2020, and there's just like 2020 is like way lower than these other areas, and you're like, okay, well, it seemed pretty high there. Just like based on your eyes, and they're like, your eyes are wrong.
If this is what they have to do to pretend that the right is violent or has a violent political narrative, then you know they have nothing. But I can't stress this enough. When they say Charlie Kirk, they mean you. And they have meant you for a long time. Though anytime issues like these happen, people have the question of, what do I do? Well, to answer that, the first thing that you have to do is get mad.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
I actually don't agree that the political temperature should be lowered. I think idiots like Destiny are only saying that so the right doesn't start doing things that are actually effective. And when I say effective, I don't mean violence. But you should be pissed. Because you know what I've noticed during my time on this planet? Is that power, a lot of times, doesn't go to the most intelligent people or the people with the best arguments or the people with the best morals. It goes to whoever is the most mad or the biggest Karen. Do you know why tards on the left have so much power? It's because they're always angry. They're the ones who will do batshit insane things to achieve their political goals. So everybody caters to them because, like those losers on that train, they don't want to deal with the stress of fighting back. You have to be angry to fight back. Why does Black Lives Matter have so much power? It's not because their arguments are solid. In fact, I think BLM is incredibly toxic for black people, but they have tons of power because they're good at getting mad. So you need to get pissed. This is your life. This is your country. We should not have to live in a crime-ridden shithole full of people who constantly say they want to end our lives because we believe different things. It's time to get mad and do something about this. And if you aren't mad, how about you listen to this?
Isn't it just so refreshing to finally see an assassination pulled off successfully for once? I mean, talk about professionalism at the right time.
Yeah, an assassination is so funny that you went and reposted an old joke after Charlie Kirk died. But this guy's a comedian and he wants you to die, so how about you ruin his career and make sure that he never works in comedy again? As they say, freedom of speech is not freedom from consequences. Also, this is definitely a community guidelines violation. Anyone who is encouraging stuff like violence is violating TOS, so feel free to get their accounts banned. People with decent jobs who are promoting this stuff should be forced to make a career change to Walmart cashier. Payback is a bitch, and I have no sympathy because I've had 3 different leftist dipshits try to get me deplatformed, and I defeated every single one of them. Why? Because I got mad. Someone wants to abuse the copyright system to silence me? Okay, game on. Let's make this a legal battle, and when you lose, I'm going to use every legal power I have to ruin your life, because you tried to ruin mine. And you don't get to cry and play the victim because you poked the bear and the bear happened to be stronger. Noah Samson tried to get me deplatformed. Where is that guy? Oh, that's right. His reputation got so utterly destroyed in the fight with me that he had to switch formats and cater to a bunch of violent radicals to pay his bills. Now he's busy couch surfing and trying to avoid being served by Ethan Klein. Have fun being homeless forever, Noah. Oh, and fuck Illymation.
If you're bored, if you're angry, if you're thinking about how you're going to get back, while you're thinking about that, what you can do in the interim is you can make a polite phone call and ensure that one of these fucking freaks is broke.
Yep, get people fired. It works. Remember, they started it. Not to mention that we gave them the chance to be civilized and they spit in our face, so now we're going to ruin their lives, and the progress is glorious. Here's an appetizer. DC writer gets comic canceled after 1 issue. You see this, comic fans? You had this power all along.
Karma's real and can be brutal.
Look, it happened to a Ghost of Yote developer who made messed up comments too. They got fired. Here's a male school teacher who just lost his job over Charlie Kirk comments. Good. You aren't fit to be around children. Actually, Texas suspended the licenses of 100 teachers who like political violence, which is great. I think their licenses should be removed permanently, which means they can no longer be teachers in Texas. You know all that time that you spent in college? Gone. Have fun training for some other job, fuck around and find out. American Airlines got rid of some pilots, Microsoft is afraid, and slightly related, people are saying that Ilhan Omar should be deported for, that gross immigration fraud thing she did that involved marrying her brother. Actually, it looks like she might genuinely get kicked out. Good. Deport that Minneapolis mayor too. If he wants to speak Somalian, then he can go live in Somalia. I hear it's great there. And again, if there are any people out there who are trying to make you feel bad for this, don't forget that they have done this to their political enemies for over a decade. You can't even play competitive video games like Super Smash Bros. Without these assholes trying to threaten you and throw cancel culture at you. This next event comes from a YouTuber who goes by Technicals, talking about his Super Smash Bros. Friend Hack's Money, who recently passed after complications from a suicide attempt. After Hack's passed, Technicals gave a speech that points out that a major contributor to Hack's poor mental health was bullying and cancel culture from the Smash community, which is full of radical leftists, by the way. In response to that speech, we can see the exact same evil behavior that we see around Charlie Kirk.
Need someone from the Smash community to fuck up Technicals IRL. Put a little fear into him. Lil Chud is out of control. Why? It's always someone else. That's how you know that my speech hit the right target audience, because these are the people who were crying about Leffen getting death threats, yet they're saying that I need to be killed. They don't see the irony of it. They're like, let's keep Hacks banned for life because Leffen got death threats, but fucking kill this guy that I don't like, please. So because they dislike me, they justify wanting me assaulted, say I should be killed, I should die. None of these people are gonna have anything happen to them for saying this about me, because the people in charge agree with them, and there's no objective standard of behavior. It's not like a standard where, okay, you broke this is the punishment, it said it right there. No, it's, oh, someone I don't like broke this rule? Okay, now time to actually enforce our code of conduct. And it's so blatantly obvious that that's what's happening.
Right, that's exactly how social media has been. Twitch especially, they have rules, and if they like you, they don't enforce them, but if they hate you, then they'll just make up rules that don't even exist and say you broke them. And keep in mind, this is not just a petty get woke, go broke drama. This is a workplace safety issue, which means that if a company ignores employees who are threatening people or refuses to remove them from the workplace, it's an OSHA violation.
Threats related to Charlie Kirk must be reported. If you are posting something like this, anything similar or worse, you need to be investigated. So here we go. The secret weapon is OSHA. OSHA refers to the Occupational Safety and Health Act of 1970, the OSHA Act. It is a federal law, a U.S. federal law applying to all states and territories that requires employers to provide a safe workplace free from recognized hazards. Hey, if you're going to say a death threat, a safety threat to others, saying, hey, look, I'm afraid, I'm legitimately scared that this person posting this online is going to come after me for my conservative beliefs. I'm afraid this person is going to do what they did to Charlie Kirk. They're celebrating this. That could be, based on an examination, looking into it, a very, very, very legitimate threat. So why is this so powerful? Why OSHA and not HR? Let me explain why. It's anonymous, so you will not be retaliated against. Human resources cannot bury it because this is a government thing. It's going to come through the government regulatory body. They're going to know they got an OSHA complaint. They cannot hide that. And trust me when I tell you, as a corporate attorney, the CEO, the C-suite people, the management people, they will notice when OSHA complaints start coming in because there are legal penalties for non-compliance.
Got it. OSHA it is. It's crazy how they tried to ruin our lives for jokes and memes, but now they're getting all offended that we want to get them fired after they make violent threats. It's not just jokes or memes on their end. This is serious, and these people need to be punished.
I hope that it's been eye-opening for the public to see the bloodlust that exists, not just on the fringe left, obviously, but also on the mainstream left, in the aftermath of this assassination.
Yeah, this is a second wake-up call after the first wake-up call, where we watched what people on the mainstream left forced us to do during COVID. The left has some major issues. There's a reason why tons of liberals are now calling themselves politically homeless. And for all the crybaby leftists who are now playing victim here and saying, how dare you do this to us? This is so unfair. Unfair? Are you kidding me? You assholes have not only spent over a decade trying to get people fired from their jobs, but also have engaged in, God, it has to be like 100 riots, and that's not including them blocking roads. So this is probably, for lack of a better word, a very conservative estimate of all the leftist violence. You locked us into our houses for 2 years, you fucked the economy by doing that, which caused tons of people to lose their jobs, and then you tried to force everyone into injecting a rush vaccine into their body. Actually, they did force a lot of people into doing that because they threatened their jobs for not complying. Not to mention that you tried to assassinate Kavanaugh, you tried to assassinate Trump, and you did assassinate Charlie Kirk. And you're still saying that more people on the right should die. I think that moderates and the right are being incredibly generous by only trying to get you guys fired. Though, as you might have guessed, I'm not sure if just getting these people fired is enough in some cases.
Whatever the pretext is, RICO case, whatever, the people who have called for violence, they should have a day in court. That has to happen.
Now, this is kind of a complex conversation, but it's a conversation that needs to be had. The reason it's complex is because whatever you do to them, they can do to you. And when they do it to you, they will be as unfair and malicious as possible. Because while the left is the party of violence, it's not like there aren't a handful of people on the right saying stupid shit too.
Mr. President, I implore you, call for a civil war. Call for a civil war and let us do our thing. Let us go door to door, street by street, and clean this country. I'm a peaceful man. Time for peace is over. I'm willing to fight and I'm willing to die.
Keep in mind, any of you idiots who want civil war should expect to die. And expect that for your friends, and expect that for your family, and expect that for your children. Remember how often Hassan Piker calls for violence and how shocked he was to watch someone die that he didn't even like? And that was just on video. So how about we behave like civilized people instead of like a bunch of animals? Though personally, I think that guy is just an idiot who had no real intent on doing anything. But if we aren't careful with how we write legislation, he could go to prison for that. You might go to prison for making jokes about stuff like that. Now, the current law is that an incitement has to be a direct and immediate threat, which would include something like a major leftist political streamer calling for violence, and then somebody kills somebody the same day or in close proximity to the time that the violence was called for, and they were able to find a connection between the death and the incitement. Personally, I don't think that law is strong enough, because all you have to do is just be patient with your calls for violence, say something that will cause somebody to commit a crime a few weeks or a few years from now, and you're fine. This is how people sell media narratives that cause things like the 2020 riots. So I think we need to have a discussion about new legal language that will allow us to punish violent radicals like all these people trying to encourage a crazy person to go murder somebody, as well as media figures like Hassan or Destiny or CNN, who are clearly trying to get people killed. Like they need to spend a few years behind bars. But what I don't want is this.
There's free speech and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie, in our society.
Do you see
more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people, so we show them that some action is better than no action.
We will absolutely target you, go after you, if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle.
Fire her. Screw you. There is no such thing as hate speech. How dare she try to bring that retarded term into the right's vocabulary? But outside of that, I'm just thinking here, how about if you make a TikTok with the clear intent to encourage people to kill American citizens or the president, or say, is someone going to do it? You get to spend a little bit of time behind bars. I mean, you should at least lose your job for it. Oh, but you're such a hypocrite. You said you didn't like cancel culture. I don't care. Fuck you. I'm not playing that game. You guys know what you did, and we will be belligerent in making sure that you suffer the consequences. This is peace, this is nonviolence, and we can make these changes without rioting or killing innocent people. All we have to do is enforce the damn law, and we will ruin your lives until you repent for what you've done. It's already starting as Trump just declared Antifa as a terrorist organization. Finally. But do you know why they were so pissed at Charlie calling out immigration issues and being brave enough to say things that most people believe in a hostile environment? It's because a bunch of assholes are trying to pull this shit all over the world, and if America fixes the problem, it will get fixed everywhere. Because you know how they're trying to destroy American culture by importing tons of foreigners and then calling us racist if we criticize that? Well, they're doing that to Japan too. Like, doesn't this sound familiar?
Now more than ever, we're short of workers. We have a population that is not reproducing it on its own with the same level that it used to. The only way we're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants, the dreamers, and all of them, because our ultimate goal is to help the dreamers, but get a path to citizenship for all 11 million or however many undocumented there are here.
Doesn't this sound a lot like Japanese people don't have enough children, so we need to import the third world? It's really suspicious when you hear the exact same arguments being made worldwide. How does everyone have the exact same problems with the exact same solutions? It's suspiciously similar to COVID policy. Some good news, Trump just made a move to fix the H-1B visa problem to try to stop companies from importing cheap labor from third worlders who don't want to be Americans, though many people don't think he went far enough. Anyway, there's a reason why South Korea created a monument to Charlie Kirk. There's a reason why Japan created a monument to Charlie Kirk. People in Japan, a completely different culture, are paying attention to this, and a lot of them are aware of what happened. By the way, for all the leftists who are destroying murals of Charlie or Irina, note that God sent a thunderbolt to strike down that George Floyd mural, so anything you guys do is meaningless. You aren't going to top that. Also, Britain just did a massive protest against population replacement, and they were chanting Charlie's name. Charlie! 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 This is global. If we fix America, the entire world will try to copy us, and they will be fixed too. Don't forget what they took from us. They didn't just do this to Charlie and his family. They did it to all of us.
When I got home last night, our daughter just ran into my arms. And I talked to her and she said, Mommy, I missed you. I said, I miss you too, baby. She goes, where's Daddy? What do you tell a 3-year-old? She's 3. I said, baby, Daddy loves you so much. Don't you worry. He's on a work trip with Jesus, so he can afford your blueberry budget.
That is so sad. The kid isn't even old enough to understand what happened. How is it that there are people who are so evil that they would cheer for a loss like this? In many of Charlie's debates, he said that broken families and single motherhood is the issue of our age. If you can keep families together, then you can solve a ton of different issues. He spent a lot of time talking about being a present father. Because of that, those were the hardest clips to watch, knowing that his opportunity to be a present father was stolen from him.
And I can tell you I'm super blessed. I have the best wife in the world. We have an amazing life. Building a family is the coolest thing ever. And my prayer for all of you is that you one day can do that. That's so cute. It's honestly the most joyful thing. And I've had some pretty amazing experiences. I've been very, very blessed. Very lucky, you could say, but very blessed is the word I would use. And the greatest joy I've ever had is coming home to my little daughter running up to my leg. There's nothing that even comes close to it. Not flying on Air Force One, not meeting with presidents. That's all that pales in comparison to your little girl coming up and squeezing your leg.
America is not going to be the same. The world might not be the same, and I think it will change for the better now. The sheer numbers of people who showed up for Charlie's memorial to honor what he's done is inspiring. The highest live viewer count I got was 600,000. Charlie knew there was a risk of losing his life for trying to spread honesty. Anyone who's been to any of these events and seen the violence of the radical leftists knows that this was always a risk. But he was willing to make that sacrifice, and now it's time for everyone to honor that sacrifice by showing up for America. And we're doing this without violence.
After Charlie's assassination, we didn't see violence. We didn't see rioting. We didn't see revolution. Instead, we saw what my husband always prayed he would see in this country. We saw revival. My husband, Charlie, he wanted to save young men just like the one who took his life. On the cross, our Savior said, "Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do." That man, that young man, I forgive him. The answer to hate is not hate. The answer we know from the gospel is love, and always love.
Funny how leftist streamers like Destiny want to call us violent when all the major right-leaning figures are saying let's resolve this peacefully. I think violent tactics would dishonor Charlie's name, and people on the right understand that. He didn't believe in violent revolution. He believed in revolution by starting honest conversations and by helping everyone build families and communities. He believed this so much that he took a bullet for this country. Because of that, I say, Charlie Kirk, thank you for serving America, and I wish the best for your friends and family who are suffering with your loss.